Morning, folks. Today we're going to go over shooting docks, rafts, and your orientation on your live scope, so you kind of see you can see what's up underneath it. But to actually figure out where those fish are sitting at, you need to understand how your live scope works. Your live scope looks from your boat out. It's not left and right. Like you're looking at the screen, you look left and right, but the actual transducer is looking from your boat out. So like before in the previous videos, anywhere I aim the trolling motor, I look out in front to see where I'm at, to see what's out. So if I want to look to the left, I have to turn it to the left. Makes sense? So we're gonna pull up to this raft. You guys seen this raft before. So obviously we're on Sylvan Lake, and this raft has a chain right over there in the middle of the pontoon. This is what anchors it down. So when we look up underneath something, I like to find a reference. Certain poles on docks or something like this, a raft, that chain is a marker for me. So when I look at my live scope, I can see this right here. This is the chain that I want to reference, because this is going to give me an idea where these fish are sitting, because we have a little bit of a cone comes off our transducer, and at 25 feet, I think, was it 3.5 feet at 10, so 7, probably right around a 10-foot wide cone at 30 foot. So I'm looking out to the sides a little bit, and I'm looking straight ahead. So this chain, I know it's going to be on that side of the pontoon underneath, if that makes sense. So, and usually when I come up to something like that, I don't want to get right on top of the pile of fish. I work my way into them, so I kind of control how close I get it first and see their reaction from it. If they're real aggressive, you're gonna get fish right off the edges pretty quick, and then you can work your way in to the fish that are not so aggressive, and you might not ever pick them fish up. Which it turns out it happens a lot. So we're gonna go through a couple different rafts. We're gonna go up to a pier and show you what that looks like, do a couple shots, and really when I get to shooting rafts and docks and stuff like that, I don't use the live scope a whole lot. The biggest thing that's worked for me is to find the bait in the live scope a couple times, and I count 1001, 1002, 1003, like 4 seconds, and see how far that bait drops. It drops to 10 feet in 4 seconds, and I can kind of see where it's landing in that pile. That's kind of my guideline. If I want to stay above that, I'll give it like 2 seconds. If I wanted to go a little bit deeper, I'll count to 6 or 7 and get a little bit deeper in the water before I start bringing it back. And that way you're not so dependent on your live scope, because it's really kind of hard to track your bait like that, especially when you're up underneath and you're getting a lot of hard return off of that stuff. It's hard to see that teeny tiny little bait. It's not a really hard positive return. So we're gonna flip this around and get you hooked up to the live scope and see if I can't show you a couple of shots up underneath there, not necessarily catching fish, but kind of show you what that looks like and what I'm aiming for. So we'll be right back. Take a shot here. And you can see my chain is sitting like around 25 feet right now. Get the boat stopped here. Got just enough breeze to move me around, just to be irritating. But I get this set up. I like to keep my trolling motor to where I'm gonna shoot so I can kind of pick that bait up when it falls. I'm gonna take a shot here. It's gonna be really close to the boat. See, I'm really short. Just can't pick it up. Get reset. Get a better shot on this. Get a good return first. Take my shot. My bait's falling. This is why I really don't like to use livescope too much when I'm shooting docks. It's just really hard to pick up, especially when you get it down in the fish. But you kind of see where they're swimming around. They're moving around that bait, kind of dodging at it. So I'm right here. They're just not real committed to it. One straggler right there. But I'm looking up underneath the pontoon, and probably right around this area is where the bait's gonna hit. We're right here. I just, nope, got a fish. Okay. So that's how we start. I always start off on the edges of the pile and work out from there. So, and the reason we do that, if you pull a fish right out of the center of that pile, your very first shot, you're gonna spook a lot of those fish. Like, you just pulled cousin Bob out of the family and everybody knows what happened. So we kind of try to stay out along the edges and work off the top, and then work your way down through the pile. But your last 3 shots are gonna be as deep as you can get it, trying to get the ones that can't see the bait. But just remember, start on the edges, find your identifier, find where you want to shoot at, and get close to that as much as you can. We're gonna go up to a different style raft, one you can't really get underneath like that. You can't shoot up underneath, and show you how I get around that. This is another style raft. These sit super close to the water. There's like no way to shoot up underneath these things. So this is what we're talking about. These right in the center of that, there's a chain on both ends of that raft holding that thing still. When we look up underneath there, you see right here's a chain and right there's a chain. So this is in front of the boat to the back of the raft. That makes sense. You read it from left to right, but it looks from the front to the back. Okay, so when you come up to something like that, it's important to know your orientation of where those fish are sitting at, so you know where to shoot. I can pretty much guarantee you they're not going to be on the sunny side of that raft. They're going to be sitting on the shadowed side. So the sun's coming up in the east, your shadow is going to be on the west. If you look at that raft, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but the shadow's over here on this side and in the back. But when we look at the livescope, they are tight up underneath that raft. Just a few sticking off this back side and a couple off the front. And it's gonna be really tough to get up underneath that raft. But what I do if I can get a little bit closer here, is this corner. I'm gonna cast out here and bring that up underneath that corner. So I'm basically aiming for the center off to the side here, and then I'll flip that line so it lays in the water, and then I can bring that up underneath that raft. Make sure you don't get caught in that chain, because you're gonna lose that game. I've donated quite a bit of money over the years learning that. But I'll look at one more shot here. This is a dock with a pontoon and a shore station, so this is interesting. This pier has two legs underneath it, right in the center. Those are actually wheels. This is like a roll-out style dock. They can roll it in and out at the end of the year. So you got to be careful of what's under there. You're gonna get caught on all this stuff, but it's also something to identify where fish are at. It's like right now I'm pointing the live scope right at those two legs right here. They make a V. Those are wheels, plastic wheels down there. Now if I go over, if I start looking off to the side just a little bit, right there's all my fish. They're right in between. They're right in between here, up underneath both sides. So here's some things to look for to help you really be able to pinpoint where these fish are sitting at underneath this stuff. It's sometimes it's just a lot of random pitching, casting, shooting to figure out where they're at, and they're just not active. You're gonna spend a lot of time shooting up underneath stuff. What's really nice about live scopes, we can study the fish. We can actually see what they're doing, see how they're reacting to the baits. Certain colors, shapes, sizes. You can start switching all that stuff up, trying to get these fish to bite. But it was tough today. It was really slow. I ended up actually chasing fish out in open water for a little while. I did just as good doing that, individual fish, as I did shooting rafts, piers, and stuff like that. But I wanted to show you guys some of the stuff. As we're coming towards the end of the summer, fish are going to start moving back out away from this stuff and getting into bigger schools. Cooling down, the water is going to start clearing up. This is going to get really fun. So I'm ready for summer to be over. I'm ready for fall. But hopefully this helps you out. Check out Sniping Braid 3-pound fishing tackle, Ozark rods. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.